Hello and welcome to the RightNOW Podcast. My name is Distin, Senior Director of Customer Experience here at Rightworks. You know, the history of accounting traces its roots back over 7,000 years to ancient Mesopotamia. And as one can guess, in that time, the role of the accountant and bookkeeper has and continues to change and evolve. I'm deeply humbled that you have joined me today as we continue to have this conversation with thought leaders and folks throughout the industry who can shed some light into where this profession is going. Joining me today is Heidi Rogers, Senior Account Executive at CPA Charge. Heidi, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
So, as we just mentioned, we're talking about the accounting profession and the fact that over time, this has changed tremendously. Like 7,000 years ago, people etching into stone. Today, completely different. It's no longer just ledger entries. We're not talking about balancing books and just tracking transactions anymore. Things have changed, and it continues to change faster and faster. So, from your perspective, what do you see as maybe the biggest challenge facing this profession today?
That's a great question. From my point of view, as somebody who works in, the fintech space, works with CPAs, accountants, and bookkeepers on, getting payments done online. One of the things that I see is that a lot of folks are really struggling with adapting to the ever-changing technology. Things are changing so fast, and there are a lot of firms that have been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years. And they're not really sure where to start. They're just overwhelmed. So I think right now it's about simplification and trying to help CPAs and accounting firms who are maybe been doing things a little old school to get into kind of the newer space in a way that simplifies their lives a bit and it makes them feel less overwhelmed.
Define what you mean when you say old school.
Old school, yeah. So again, I come from a payments perspective. So there's obviously a lot of different things, but some people are still using Excel spreadsheets to, look at their bookkeeping and see who needs to pay them, who doesn't, what needs to get done, what doesn't. Some people are using, older types of software systems to, desktop software systems to do their books. And, those things are no longer really as relevant as they used to be. So I think old school just means, and especially in a payments, way, checks and cash, people just taking checks and cash and taking them to the bank, depositing them, not really having easy way for their clients to pay them quickly is one of the challenges.
Okay. So you mentioned the term old school, and we define that as perhaps someone who's still processing transactions with cash or checks. If I am a firm or a practitioner and I'm looking to adopt a new technology, what are the hurdles that I have to overcome even just to begin to implement a new technology?
That's a great question. And I think there are different hurdles for different companies and different firms and what they're doing now. So if you are just taking cash and check, you're not taking credit card, you're not doing anything online, one of the biggest hurdles, I think, is just simply that first step into that space, right? Of saying, okay, I'm going to take a credit card or I'm going to take an ACH e-check payment. Deciding what you're going to do first, right? And looking to see what is the easiest way I can dip my toe into this with, I think, the least amount of investment, right? And I think that's kind of one of the things you want to look at. It's like, I'm not looking to purchase some huge piece of equipment. I'm not looking to, pay for this huge system. I just want to dip my toe in the water and get started. Where do I go? So I think finding something that's simple, affordable, and doesn't take a lot of setup is really where you want to head if you're just getting into this for the first time. And I think that's where a lot of CPA and accountants are. They're just like, I just want to dip my toe in and get started and then build from there. So I think you're looking for a platform, a system that is going to allow for that. It's going to allow for that dipping the toe in and then starting to build from there into maybe something a little more robust over time. I also think it's about kind of a mindset mindset shift, right? Of not seeing technology as a bad thing, of not seeing it as scary, as seeing it as something that is going to help you. It is going to make things easier. And for some people who are like, no, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because to me that is easiest. And I get that. Trust me. Anytime change can be really scary, for myself included. And yet it is absolutely inevitable. So trying to figure out the way that change can make your life the best and the easiest and the fastest. And so I think that's where a lot of people need to head, is into that direction of just trying to say, okay, baby steps. What is the very first thing I can do to make this easy for myself? And trying to find that.
So I want you to imagine that I am that person who is hesitant. It's a mindset. It's a mindset problem for me at the moment. What would you say to me to try and get me to understand that change is inevitable, change is going to happen? Like what would you say to me to convince me?
I think it's a little less about convincing you and more about asking you questions about what your specific processes and where there are things that might be challenges for you.
Okay.
So I might ask you, how are you currently getting people to pay you, first of all? How much time is that taking you? Where are areas where you would like to save time or streamline things in your processes? So for me, that's more about asking that question and seeing, okay, where is the space in which we might be able to help you? In my, personally as a payment processor and a system, but just in everything that you're doing, how can we help you bridge that gap that maybe you're having a struggle with? Are you having a lot of people call you on the phone and wanting you to take a credit card over the phone? Maybe you are taking credit cards, but you just have an old school machine, right? That's another thing. Maybe you're old school, but you actually do take credit cards, but you have an old school machine and nothing online. How much time does it take you for people to call you on the phone, give you their number, have to key it in, send them a receipt? How can we take that time and minimize it so that you have more time to do what you actually want to be doing, as opposed to the tasks that are sort of taking away from your kind of the best way that you're doing life every day at work?
Okay. So let's say that you have done your job and you've convinced me.
Okay.
I'm now questioning myself and life choices that have led me to the old carbon chunk, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm ready to make this step. What should I be looking for within my business then that will tell me this payment processor is doing its job? It's helping me. Like, what are the KPIs that I'm looking at? What are the things that I'm going to see that tell me I made the right decision?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things you're going to be looking for. First of all, are you able to start utilizing it fairly easily and fairly quickly, right? There's always a learning curve. Of course there is. You may have some questions, but is what you're utilizing basically easy to use and streamlined right out the gate with little to no issue? Are you working with an organization or a company that is available to you to help you with anything that might come up right out the gate, right? Do you get on the phone or call somebody or email somebody and they're back with you pretty quickly or right away? Are you seeing that your customers are happier or they're more satisfied? They're like, oh, I can just click on a button on my invoice or on my website and on your website and just pay you like within a few seconds? That's amazing. Like, are you getting that feedback from your clients? One of the biggest ones, are you seeing your AR quicker? Are you seeing your payments happening faster? Are you saying, oh, I just sent out this tax return and I got paid within 10 minutes? Cool. You're not having to hunt people down for payments anymore. Are you able to send out an invoice and see that they're they're more quickly coming back to you? I think another thing is, are you spending less time on the stuff that used to take you forever? You know what I mean? Are you sending out paper invoices before? And now you're like, oh, I can just send out an email and that's it. I can send out a bunch of emails and that's it.
Click the button and so-and-so is going to receive it, or everybody's going to receive the invoices. And like you said, then it's no longer net 30 and I'm kind of just waiting and hoping I can clear payroll. Things are coming in as they go out. That's awesome. So, have you seen examples of firms that have adopted this and moved themselves out of that mentality that was, I don't like change, and now they've adopted change? They're using CPA Charge perhaps as a payment processor. Have you seen stories or examples where it's been a complete win?
Absolutely. So I've been lucky enough to work for CPA Charge in this role or similar roles for 6.5 years, which is quite a long time in these days to be working for the same company and working with the same group of people. And I've been very lucky to have been able to work with people over a number of years. I go to conferences, much like your conferences. I've been to some of y'all's conferences. I've been to conferences y'all have been at as well. And I get people all the time coming up to me and going, "Oh my gosh, I saw you at this conference 2 years ago and I signed up and we started using it the past two tax seasons. And oh my gosh, I can't believe how much faster we get paid. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much happier our clients are. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much more time my office staff has that they didn't used to have." And it's amazing how much I get people coming up to me and telling me that in person at those conferences. And then I also get emails. I get emails all the time, people saying, "You know what? I want to recommend you to this other firm that I'm close with, or I want to recommend you to my daughter. She has a new bookkeeping practice or tax practice, and I want her to use you because you guys have been such a good, new part of our team and our systems." So I think that that's something that we're seeing over and over again is how much people enjoy using CPA Charge and how much easier it's making their lives. And I think that for me, honestly, feels so good, especially when people come back again and again and say hello to me and remind me just how much, it reminds me how much I love my job,
Trying to
honestly.
progress the profession forward is exactly what you're doing through all of this. Well, I think it's awesome and interesting too that one of the things that you mentioned when I asked what are some signs or signals that it would be working. Yes, there's the, let's call them the hard metrics, the easily identifiable. Is my am I being paid faster? Do I have less that is sitting out there on the books, in accrual, et cetera? But then you also talked about the soft end of it. Do I have more time to focus on the things that I want to focus on, whether that's my business or my personal life as well? And you're getting the same thing too, because sure, you can track your sales or quotas or whatever, anything else you want. But for you, the real win is I'm getting these emails. I'm getting people coming up to me with the smile on their face. And I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah, I love it too. I genuinely do. Because yeah, of course, we all are doing what we have to do for, our jobs and our work and our career. But ultimately, if you feel like you're actually giving something back and you're actually helping people and you feel like they're getting benefit, that's an amazing feeling. And it is truly why I
That's
keep doing
awesome.
what I do. Because I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
There's a ton of change that has gone on in the last couple of years, not just in this profession, but in our world. And I would say probably most of it boils down to two little letters, AI. But there's a lot of other stuff that has changed within our lives or and are coming forward into this profession. So if you had a crystal ball and you looked into it, what would you say are some of the big changes or perhaps the biggest change that you foresee or CPA Charge foresees in the next 24 to 36 months?
It is so hard to predict the future, obviously. And I know people are throwing around AI like crazy. And the truth is, I don't actually think AI is going to be the AI that people are thinking of is going to change everything as much as they think it is. I think what's happening is everybody's calling everything AI when they're really just saying automation. They're saying automation. I mean, yes, there is certainly the AI that we are thinking of, right? Which is taking people's, ideas and putting them in pictures and in stories really quickly. And we're all just kind of shocked. But when it comes to accounting and it comes to bookkeeping and all of those things, like we already know what exists out there where people just go online and do things themselves. We already know how people can go online and do their taxes. But there are people like me who, I'm a millennial and I'm in my 30s and I want a person to actually look over things. I like that. And it's not because I'm old school. I'm actually really not old school. I'm very, very like, bring on new technology. I want to use it. I want to try it. And also, I think that there's a human element that you cannot ignore and that will not go away. So, yes, I do think what people are looking for in the next 24 to 36 months, or the changes that are coming, are more automation. I think people want things to be faster and easier. But I think that's always been the way it is. And I think that's always the way it's going to be in, Western civilization. So I do think that things that people are going to want are cool. I want a system where a lot of things integrate. I want things where I can do one system and I can click and it will take care of a bunch of stuff for me. I want a system, or I want systems in place that are going to make it where my clients can enter in a number and click a box and say, for what I do for fintech, I want this to save my card on file so that you can use it for me in the future. So I don't even need to worry about that again. I want something that's going to be able to send an invoice to somebody and also help them set up a scheduled recurring payment for future payments. I want something where I can walk into an office, tap my card, and it takes Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever. They want something that can do everything, and they want to be able to customize it all. Now, every system is going to be a little different, but I think that's where we're going toward, is we want as much automation, as much streamline as possible. Will AI help with that? Yes, because it's automation, but ultimately there is a human component, and we still want humans to actually be able to put their eyes on things, because, that's something that we love. And that's why I love having an accountant. I love having a CPA who actually I work with one-on-one. And that is something that I think that, a lot of people are afraid that they're going to be completely obsolete in the CPA and accounting space. I just don't think that's true. I do think people still like to have a human being involved. And that's why you work with a person when you sign up for CPA Charge, for example. That's why you want to be able to call somebody on the phone if you have questions and actually get a person, because there is still an element of human that we really love. And I think it can be in conjunction with the great technology that's coming forward right now.
All right, Heidi. Last couple of questions as we wrap this up. And I want you to bear with me here. I'm going to set this up real quick. We're going to step into a time machine right now. And as we do, I want you to clear your mind, forget all the sci-fi stuff that deals with time travel, right? You forget the grandfather paradox, can't meet yourself, you're going to disappear in the photos or whatever. Just throw it out the window. Doesn't count. We're going to step in the time machine, we're going to press go, and we're going to go back in time 10 years. And when the doors open to this time machine, you're going to step out and you're going to be face to face with yourself 10 years ago. So it's 10 years younger Heidi. Now you've got 30 seconds to give your younger self one piece of advice. What piece of advice are you going to give yourself?
I think I would give myself the advice to be more present and in the moment, less worried about the past, and just focus on what's right in front of me. So I would tell myself to just trust my gut and focus on what's right in front of me.
Interesting, because we could say the same thing about folks trying to make change today too. Trust yourself, just be in the moment and forget about the past, right? Forget about accepting checks and cash, etc. All right, so we're going to step back in our time machine. I'm going to press go on the button. And from that point, we're going forward 20 years, which is 10 years in the future from you and I right now. Doors open again. Now you're standing face to face with yourself 10 years from today. 30 seconds. What one question are you going to ask of yourself?
I think I would ask myself, did you spend enough time doing what you love?
Spend enough time doing what you love.
Yeah, instead of focusing so much on doing things that are a waste of time, don't really matter. Did you spend enough time doing what you love with the people you love?
That is a great thought. And really, it's the only thing that matters in the end. How do you free up time for yourself to be able to do those things? Again, I'm not trying to tie this back to our conversation previously, but it's funny. They all matter, right? How do you find ways to get rid of the distractions, the things that you shouldn't have to worry about in order to be able to do that, to spend more time living the life that you want to lead? That's fantastic stuff, Heidi. Well, I want to thank you for your time. And I want to thank you, dear listener, for your time as well. Keep practicing, keep evolving, keep changing to meet the future. Putting a twist on that ancient Chinese proverb, the best time to prepare for change was years ago. The second best time is right now. Don't forget to join us in Austin, Texas, May 14th through the 16th for Right Now, the essential event for accounting tax professionals. Heidi, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.